Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're of course going to be talking about the upcoming Snowfall. A lot has changed and I want to go over it. There's a lot of interesting things to talk about, and we're going to be going over all of it within this video. Now, before I get into this video, be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. For today's comment of the day, I want to know, how much do you think is the maximum snowfall we see with this upcoming snowstorm? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Let's get straight into this video, and first things first, we're taking a look at our current radar imagery. We do have some precipitation up here for the northeastern United States. We also have some up here for the northwestern United States. We have some rain showers down here for the south central United States, and even some snow showers up here going on kind of in the plains a little bit. There's some rain sprinkles going on down here. Well, I guess it's a bit more than sprinkles over here actually going on for some of the south central United States. Now, we do have a bit of a cold front that's trying to develop somewhere in here. But that's why we see, in general, a pretty good amount of precipitation within that region in general. And that's going to be worth noting moving forward. All of this precipitation we see along where that cold front should be developing. These models are going to be able to sample this really, really well. And yeah, once we see these things ongoing, they will use that current data to get even more accurate information. So the good thing about this storm is it's going to be a pretty slow one. And we actually see this developing very early on and then moving very slow. So we're going to get accurate information much earlier, I think, than we typically would with certain storms. Now let's just zoom into a couple areas here. First off, the northwestern United States, you can see the precipitation turns off again, just like the past couple days. So I apologize for that. Now we do see a bit of rainfall here along the coast. We do see some snowfall going on in here, generally for portions of Montana, Idaho, and then even into the plains a bit like we mentioned before. Let's just go ahead and take a look at this plains region here. We have had some snowfall developing in this region overall throughout the morning, and I guess the overnight hours as well here for Nebraska, and then through other regions here in the plains. Now let's see where we're going to zoom in next. We do have some, I guess, rain showers and sprinkles that have been going on from time to time here in the southwestern United States / south central United States, I would say. Now, as you zoom into the southeastern United States here, we can see this rain has really developed here over the past couple of hours mostly, and this is out ahead of the cold front a little bit. We do have some precipitation building in for these regions, and then we have a lot of snowfall and some rainfall going on for these regions. Again, the precipitation typing turns off, but we've had some heavier snowfall taking place, especially right here, and that is probably accumulating a bit. That's more in that light to moderate range. That's going to be worth noting. So that's the entire United States. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move on and we're going to take a look at the modeled guidance, because like I said, things have changed a lot, and the southern people are going to be really happy. The northern people are not going to be quite as happy. I'll explain in a minute. Now today we're going to be taking a look at three separate models. We're going to be taking a look at the European model, then the Canadian high resolution model, which is my favorite model, and then we're going to be taking a look at the NAM model, which is also known as the high resolution American model. So we will be taking a look at all three of these models here. Let's walk through with our European model. You see, this is by this afternoon at about 3 p.m. This is when we're seeing that cold front actually beginning to develop. So this is when we will get sampled information, because this is somewhat of the storm starting actually a couple of days before it's really getting going. And for a lot of these regions up here in the north, we will be seeing quite a bit of snowfall actually with this frontal boundary as it's moving through. You see it's very slowly moving eastward. The faster this moves eastward, the more that snow that's eventually going to happen is going to push further southward. So for you guys up north, you kind of want to hope that this cold front struggles to progress a little bit compared to what these models are showing. But really, we're so close to this cold front happening, I just don't know what the possibility is for you guys. Now, as we move this a little bit further on this model, we can see that along the front, we do get some snowfall actually from DC up through Boston. That includes New York City, Philadelphia, DC, Boston. That corridor right there. We are seeing some moderate snowfall with this. It's very, very brief. It's already moved out by, the afternoon hours of Thursday. Let's just zoom into the east real quick, because that's where most of what we're talking about is happening. I do have to switch this back because the 6Z run is coming out So this eventually moves down, and then this is the area we're watching the most actually for this upcoming storm. Believe it or not, right now that seems to be the bullseye region. Now, as we move towards about 2 p.m. on Friday, we can see the snow is really picking up for this region right in here. We see a lot of freezing rain again for the Carolinas, this time the eastern half of the state, but unfortunately, it's just like a double whammy here at this point. Now, what we see eventually happen, and I'm going to estimate that the low pressure system is somewhere in here, kind of running on this axis right now, but it might even go a little bit like this. Let's just continue this on. Yeah, so the snowfall gets a lot heavier in this region, right in here. And there has been some snowstorms in history like this. You guys know I live in this region. I'm going to try to just be as unbiased as possible, with the possibilities. I do think there is still the possibility for a northwest trend. Although with every single run that we get closer, the chance of that happening does go down. So that is something to note. But there is still the chance that we see this one move, 100 miles northwestward, or perhaps we see the tilt change a little bit, and this low pressure system, instead of wanting to go out like this, we get it to kind of come up the coast. That would be not as intense. I don't want to get anybody hyped up here, but that would be a little bit more on par with the track that a storm like the 2010 Boxing Day blizzard took, which was a little bit more right up the coast. That wouldn't change the timing, but the axis of the snowfall would be more like this, as opposed to just this area in here, So it would change it to where it goes up the coast. Let's continue this on, and you can see it's so close, actually, because we see the low pressure system here. If, let's say, it was here instead by this point, so let's say the frame before it was here, it goes here. Let's say if it was to go here instead, so that's maybe a 50-mile difference or so, maybe a bit more. Then we would see a lot more snowfall make its way probably into these regions in here. Still, a lot of the snowfall would stay in here. It would just be a different tilt. So I hope that makes sense. But as of now, with the current placement, it's just these areas to the north of the yellow area just cannot get that snowfall to go up there with a low pressure system that's this far away. So that's been the trend over the last little while. And somehow we just skipped all the way to the end of the model run. So let's continue this on. We see the storm develop. Snow sticks around. We see our low pressure system is moved kind of now where it's tilted to where it's heading directly eastward. We're still seeing snowfall here in eastern Virginia and North Carolina, as well as a bit of the Delmarva here in New Jersey. But this quickly goes ahead and moves out. Total snowfall. Kutra here. We're using the Kutra, so this is no sleet, no freezing rain. Let's take a look at the total snowfall here. You can see that most of the snowfall stays, again, very far south, suppressed here. Almost, I want to say this storm wants to tilt north with this bullseye region. Obviously, I'm jumping for joy about this. This is right in my neck of the woods. I hope you guys can be happy for me, even if this storm is missing you guys. It is very, very rare for my area compared to areas further northward. So I'm hoping this stays this way personally. But again, I am acknowledging the chance that this, we still have to watch for a northwest trend. And every single morning, I will keep you guys up to date with the latest information. But let's try to see if I can get a more zoomed in look here. I want to see what view. We're not going to zoom in today. I think we'll just stick with this. I think this will be okay. Or actually, you know what? Mid-Atlantic would be great. Yes, this is perfect. Okay. So, if the low pressure system moves 50 miles closer to the coast, we will see the snowfall move 50 miles further inland. So we would see the 2 to 6 be more like this, and then the 6 to 10 be more like up here, and the bottom would probably be more like here, as opposed to here. So that's, trying to keep the distances equal here. And then this would move about that far. And then this, the 2 to 6 line, would move equally as much. I hope that makes sense. I'm drawing all over the place. I feel like a toddler right now, but really everything would shift northwest if we saw this low pressure system shift northwest. As you just heard my investment account make a noise there, if you heard that. So sorry about that. That came from my computer. Now, let's go ahead and move on to a different model. So this model, well, first off, I should go over the amounts. A dusting, if anything, maybe an inch or two in these gray regions. 2 to 6 inches here in the blues. We wrap this around. 6 to 10 here in the purples. And then we have kind of like a Hampton Roads and Eastern Shore bullseye here, even northeastern North Carolina. This includes sleet and freezing rain, by the way, into the equation. So these areas in the bullseye, it does not forecast having any sleet or freezing rain. This is all snow, which is extremely rare for that region, by the way, might I add. But the type of cold that is on the way, according to these models, it's possible that from Thursday evening, these areas could stay below freezing all the way till Sunday, which would encompass all of the precipitation. So it's not super far-fetched with that current temperature forecast alongside that low pressure center location to project a possible all-snow event for these regions, which is, again, incredibly rare. With the exception of Thursday during the day, there could be some rain. But outside of that and after that, really, all snow is a possibility with a foot or more potentially here for Hampton Roads in northeastern North Carolina, which, again, incredibly rare, but in my lifetime, I've seen that happen in 2010, January of 2014, I believe it was, and then also we saw that in January of 2018. So this is not completely unheard of, but it just doesn't happen every single year, if that makes sense. But I guess it has at this point been 4 years. So I mean, I guess it's due. That's what people have been telling me. Now let's take a look at our RGEM model. I love this model, by the way. We see this cold front develop here. Again, this is going to be Thursday morning here. So this will be tomorrow morning. We see this cold front really getting its act together. We're going to know a lot more by 12Z today and in the runs later tonight. So if you do pay attention to that, we will be seeing more and more information come in. We do see this cold front is about here by now. We will zoom in to the east again. Let's go ahead if this will load in. Here we go. Okay. So we switch over to snow for a lot of these regions, through the evening. These areas see snow a little bit earlier on. Some of these regions, that is. It is currently snowing in New England, I will say that, though. Let's continue this on, and what ends up happening is this low pressure system develops somewhere in there along this cold front, and we see the snow begin to develop here. Again, it looks so similar to the European model. As of this morning, I'm actually amazed by the agreement we're seeing about 3 or 4 days out. That is kind of your short to medium range. Again, these are the short range models that we're using, and they are, giving us information that seems plausible. We do see that the European model, the Canadian model are like right on board with each other. The NAM is slightly warmer than the other two models, but again, it is pretty uncanny how close all of these models are in agreement now. Yesterday, all over the place. Today, we have seen some agreement that's been pretty impressive. Now, this is overnight Friday into Saturday, which is when really most of the snowfall would occur no matter who gets hit. But we see, again, the bullseye right in there, kind of like the European model. And this is 71 hours out. So this isn't, again, this isn't the incredibly long range or anything. And we see this storm, again, it tries to tilt. I would like to see, it would be interesting if it ends up in the same location by about this point, but ends up going more up the coast. That would be, again, more on par with the 2010 type event. And even I think that 2013 one was also kind of like that. But if it moves out to here, what we end up seeing is these areas get just kind of excluded from the storm. So that is the big question mark. But as of now, confidence is increasing for these more southern areas, including me again, like I said, to potentially see snowfall. But we cannot rule out a northwestern trend at some point between now and the storm hitting. That snow continues. I mean, look at the timing of this. We're seeing wintry precipitation start out Thursday evening, maybe by about 11 p.m. Then it stops a little bit in the morning. Then we see wintry precipitation back by Friday afternoon, and that lasts all the way through Saturday afternoon, better yet. So that's pretty much 3 days of potential snowfall and actually 2 different snow systems for most of these regions. The cold front brings some snowfall, and then that actual low pressure system does. Once we take a look at this total snowfall, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about with this agreement. I mean, it is uncanny. Again, 2 to 6 inches in the blues, a dusting if anything. Maybe, in this region, we're maybe looking at an inch or 2. That's with the cold front and some other snowfall that occurs. So that's a little bit higher amounts. And then we see 6 to 10 here in these purple regions. Again, this is our Kuchera again. This is excluding the ice and the freezing rain completely. So this is doing a good job of giving us the pure snowfall. And then we see kind of 10 to 15 inches here. Again, same exact spot. So let's zoom into the Mid-Atlantic again. And again, it just seems like a Hampton Roads in northeastern North Carolina, as well as Eastern Shore special here, as of now. Now, I'm going to draw on the screen the bullseye here on this model, and then switch it back. This is going to be amazing. Switch back to the European model. Look at how it stays exactly the same. European model, RGEM model. European model, NAM model. My bad. RGEM, European model. It's almost exactly the same with the location there. I would say the European is a little bit further north than the RGEM model and has a bit more precipitation. But between these models, they both have over a foot for these yellow regions, or the yellow circle that I drew in, which is incredible, by the way. On par with potentially the biggest snowstorm in recent history for these regions. If that was to occur, we cannot expect that to occur exactly that way. But the potential for 6 to 10 inches at least seems to be quite high for these yellow regions, which is quite interesting, which is on the larger side, definitely, for these areas. That happens, we get 6 inches maybe every few years. 10 inches is maybe more like every 5 years or so, in my neck of the woods at least. Now, NAM model is a little bit different. This is another one I want to consider. Most forecasts you see from the National Weather Service between now and then is mostly going to be using the NAM model. They are the American National Weather Service. They use the American models, always. They're going to hardly consider the Canadian and the European model. That's typically how it goes. Now, we see on the NAM model that cold front brings a bit more snowfall, actually, for these regions up here than the other models, I would say. The cold front does look a little bit stronger as well. And it's already by this point that we're going to zoom into the east again. So let's just play this out. And we are going to compare the snowfall again on this one to the RGEM and the European model, just to get a comparison here. We see the wintry precipitation. On this model, it starts by about 8 p.m. for these regions. There is a bit of sleet to start things out. It's fairly normal, obviously, when you're switching from rain to snow. Sometimes there's that period of sleet or groupal in between for a while, and that is what this model is trending at for a little while. Now we switch over to full snow by about 1 a.m. in these regions, Thursday into Friday. For a brief period, maybe accumulating about an inch is what the National Weather Service has been trending at, which is what this model is pretty much showing. And then by the time we're reaching about 8 p.m. here on Friday, we see the snow return. So this model doesn't keep a lot of snow in this area throughout the day on Friday. It waits till the evening. And then what we see is this model's a lot warmer. Like I said, we do see some sleet mixing in for these regions. So that's a big, big difference, obviously, for northeastern North Carolina and Virginia. But already by the time we reach 6 a.m. on Saturday, very heavy snow in these regions. The sleet recedes, and regardless of that sleet in the beginning, this model does bring on full and very, very heavy snowfall through Saturday morning. This model is a bit later with the storm, as you can see, as it lingers on through the afternoon. And this is as far out as we can get on the model, and the snow hasn't even stopped. So let's move into the Mid-Atlantic and take a look at the total snowfall on this one as well, real quickly. Okay, so the totals don't look too far off. This is the bullseye for this one. It's a little bit of a bigger region, but I think the snow is so heavy. Again, this is our Kuchera, so this is excluding sleet and freezing rain. It's so important to use this instead of 10 to 1. 10 to 1 would likely have more underneath this yellow circle because it would count the sleet and the freezing rain as snowfall, which obviously we know that's not going to be the case. But it has 10 inches plus in that yellow circle. Let me backtrack to the RGEM model. So actually the NAM model does have a larger region there, but it is in pretty good agreement. And then the European model as well. They all have that bullseye kind of over the same exact region. I guess the NAM and the European are in a little bit more agreement there with how large of a bullseye there will be. The RGEM model keeps it a little bit smaller there. But in general, this yellow region, as of this morning's model runs and the overnight model run, seems to be the bullseye. But I do expect some movement, some to the south like we've been seeing with the GFS and the Canadian a lot, some to the north like we've been seeing with the European at times, and then it's going to have to settle. Will it be 50 miles further this way? Will the bullseye be more like this? Or will it be 50 miles further south and the bullseye be more like this, which would be even more rare than what we've, than what the storm already appears to be like. But it could move 50 miles further south. It could move up into where I'm going to draw this red region, where the bullseye is more like here. Or it could stay where it's at, which I'm going to draw in green, which is right in between. It could move more than that, but at this range and with the cold front starting, it would be a little bit harder for it to move outside of those circles with the bullseye, but it is certainly possible. Especially, we would be watching a northwest trend, potentially a major snowstorm more in these green regions. But I think at this point, the bigger possibility would be more of a tilt change, which would bring heavier snowfall into these regions. Again, like I mentioned multiple times in this video, more like a 2010 type event is what I would see more as a possibility, because it would just take a slight tilt change, and some high pressure systems up way up here, kind of moving or trending further and further away. But generally, I think these models have been pretty locked in for about 3 runs now, so it's going to be interesting once we reach the 12Z runs today and the overnight ones tonight. Is it going to stay in the same region, or is it going to move around a lot throughout the day today? And I'll tell you what, we're going to know a lot more as of tomorrow morning, so be sure to stay tuned, guys. There is a lot that's going to be going on throughout the day today, like I mentioned, and I cannot wait to go over it with you guys again tomorrow, so stay tuned. For today's confidence tab, we are at a 4 out of 6 still. I think there can be some movement with this storm, although confidence has gone up, and I do expect to be at a 5 out of 6 tomorrow, which is really good news. For today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, where do you think the most snowfall is going to occur? And I didn't get any good answers, so I picked this one instead. Rose Violet said southeastern Virginia and Hampton Roads is overdue. We got ripped off the last recent storm. Trust me, living in southeastern Virginia, we get ripped off pretty often. It's because we live in southeastern Virginia, and southeastern Virginia sees less snowfall. That's just how it is, obviously, with geography and weather and stuff and climate. Now, for today's Patron Highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our Platinum patrons, Bill Crates, James Wade, Dovey Nagel, Lure the Pan, Mandy Birchfield, Patrick Strickland, Dave Scott, and Donna Carnes as well. I'd also like to thank our Diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Kudalesa, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Bill Dallas, Gary's, and John Khaleesi also. I'd also like to thank our channel members, Catbite, Stephen Van, and Jeremy Cox as well. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I'll see you guys in the next video.